apologies for it being as late as it is and starting the stream. I had all sorts of technical nonsense and hoo-ha going on, including breaking my ring. Like, so if there's some kind of like weird like glares and stuff going on with my face, that's why. This is the Raw Talk review from August 22nd, 2022, just last night. We had Kevin Owens, Bianca Belair, and Control, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai from Control. And seeing the different guests on Casual Lean, by the way, and if this is your first time here, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Seeing that Bianca Belair and Dakota Kai and Io Sky were going to be on the show, I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be kind of nice. Like, you're going to get two sides of the same feud in one show. Again, that's kind of a treat. We don't get it all that often. But we'll see how that pans out as, you know, I kind of go through the review. But Jackie Redmond has returned just in time for the Canadian Crucible that was Raw from Toronto. So the point on everybody's mind that the internet's talking about, that people can't stop talking about, is Johnny Gargano. The return of the guy that I know nothing about, that everybody keeps talking about, that I keep hearing about. So this is kind of representative of what's been going on with me as far as this Triple H regime is concerned. I'm so happy to be seeing it. All of the changes, they're great. But with these incoming NXT stars, there's not a lot of anticipation built up amongst the fans who are already familiar with people from the main roster, because Karrion Kross, he wasn't that far, like back in NXT. It hasn't been that long since he was there, but a lot of these folks have been gone for a while, and the people who don't watch NXT all that much aren't going to have the same connection to them that people did from like years ago. But that's just my little 2 cents on that. I mean, he seems like he's cool, but I just don't know that much about him, to be honest. And thank you, Joe Mama. I see that you're in here. I don't know. You need less than 6 degrees of separation if you got Kevin Bacon and Kevin Owens, because I guess they're both in entertainment. They're both Kevins. I don't know how a feud or a partnership with Kevin Bacon and Kevin Owens would go. I have to get back to you on that one. Yeah, I may be a Philistine. I may be ignorant about Johnny Gargano, but boy, Toronto was not. Or Toronto. Anyway, they loved him, and they went absolutely unglued when he came out, and especially when he super kicked Austin Theory in the face. Ooh, oh my goodness, they really knew this man, and they loved him. His former partner, or Theory's former partner anyway. So Matt Camp calls the potential for a match between Johnny Gargano and Theory an absolute dream match. So I'll take his word on that. They turn to the main event after they discussed that. Edge got a Canadian Destroyer off. It's kind of a bigger guy. Then he nails a spear to seal Damian Priest's fate. After Edge's win, Rhea gives him a low blow and brings the Rated R superstar down before Beth Phoenix kind of blocks the way and protects her husband and gives Rhea kind of her first challenge in months. Now, you all know, if you've been watching my streams, if you've been watching my videos, you know I have been whining for there to be a woman to face off against Rhea, because her whole thing is, you can't hit me, I'm a woman. I've been wanting that for weeks. Now that it's come, I'm like, oh no. brother. She's the Glamazon. But I was hoping it was gonna be like Aaliyah or I don't know, Alexa Bliss, somebody that like wrestles on the regular. I mean, Aaliyah Mysterio doesn't wrestle on the regular, but somebody like not partially retired, I guess. I just I wasn't looking in that direction. And then they did that already with the Miz and Maurice when they were feuding with the Miz. I mean, when they were feuding with Edge like earlier this year. So it's like a repeat of the same thing. I wanted a neutralization for Rhea, just not necessarily that Phoenix. But anyway, they move from that exactly. They move from that to discussing Chad Gable. He got a lot of cheap heat because he was doing like the local sports teams type thing. You know, people don't really like that, especially in Toronto, big sports city. It really didn't matter to me, to be all that honest. But seeing the prize fighter, Kevin Owens, was absolutely lovely. Like, he decimated Chad Gable. It was great to see. Funny Kevin Owens is just fine. Don't get me wrong. I like funny Kevin Owens. But serious KO has some long-term potential. Like, I'm hoping that maybe he can break out of the mid-card this way. So Kevin Patrick is with KO, and he asks if this win against Gable is kind of a sign of things to come. Kevin Owens points out that it's been 5 years since he held the title. And this is something he mentioned in his promo, I think, last week with Drew McIntyre. And so even though it was some repetition, I felt like it was needed in that moment because this is something that's going to become part of his character, like this desperation to get back on top and to get some more of these titles. But he runs down his resume. You know, he's been Universal Champion once, he's been Intercontinental Champion twice, he's been U.S. Champion 3 times. But after all that, it was 5 years with nothing. Excuse me. But it's not because he didn't work his ascot off night after night. It's just things did not work out. But it says with all the changes, the answer was not to revolve. It was to go back. So emphasizing that prize fighter gimmick. He's wearing the shirt he wore the night he debuted in NXT. He may not be from Toronto, but he hopes that he did them proud. And he winks at Kevin Patrick. Says it was just general. It wasn't directed exactly at him. Even though he is a very handsome man, he should never forget it. Like there. Okay, I got a little ahead of myself there. Yeah. Kevin Patrick starts to sign off. He's like, you know, prize fighter Kevin Owens is back. Kevin steps out of frame. And while Kevin Patrick is signing off, you just see a towel fly in his face. Hilarious. Best moment of the night. Spoiler alert, best moment of the night. Just the interplay between the two Kevins, Kevin Owens and Kevin Patrick, is always rich. Like, it's almost on the edge of Kevin Owens flirting, but then at the same time, also not at all. It's really weird, but entertaining at the same time. But Booker T talks about the change in Kevin Owens, how he's gotten himself now into prime wrestling shape compared with the way he looked when he debuted. And, you know, his kind of quintessential line is, it's all about checks and championships. That's Booker T's thing. Giving some opinions on Damian Priest and Edge, he talks about the hometown crowd, and he calls the audience the sixth man. He talks about Edge still going strong after all of this time. He thought he would have gotten a piece of the puzzle out of the way in Damian Priest, but the glory went to the Judgment Day this night. Jackie Redmond grabs a quote from Edge from the WWE Legends series, which I definitely want to see. He says, "There's always more story to tell." And we'll see where that story kind of continues from here. So, I thought, and let me know what you all think about this in the comments, I thought they were positioning Priest to be the leader of the Judgment Day, but to hear Booker tell it like he's just one more piece of the puzzle, I'm like, maybe Finn is still the leader? Is he gonna fight Edge at Clash at the Castle? Like, what exactly is going on? What do you all think about this? Like, is Rhea the leader of the Judgment Day? Is Edge, not Edge, well, Edge was the leader of the Judgment Day. But now, is it Rhea, is it Finn, or is it Damian Priest? Like, let me know. But following a commercial break, we get the Aaliyah-Bayley match, and the crowd was so dead during this match. We get a replay of that. And I thought it was weird, despite the fact that Aaliyah was from Canada. I don't really understand that. But if I had to offer an explanation, I think that the two matches before it were so long that the audience got a little bit drained. And I kind of felt the same way, to be honest. Bayley didn't look like she was running much. I think her knee might not be 100% yet. That's just my personal opinion. But they show a replay of the finish of the semifinals match. Io Sky and Dakota Kai versus Asuka and Alexa Bliss. So the finish was a little bit funny, to be honest. Like, I was like, who's gonna believe that Asuka was about, like, made somebody tap out, and then like 3 seconds later can be held down for a pin? Like, I just thought it was strange, but I guess it did its job. If the job is to put over Dakota Kai and Io Sky and make them feel like they could be women's tag team champions, and job out to Sasha and Naomi when they come back. And now that it's on my mind, if you, Joe Mama, were asking about who was on my board as the bootleg Cesaro, that is Drew McIntyre. And I have just given Fabulous Tim up, that's all. I gave a sunglasses sticker on him and some bling that's got Big Daddy Claymore on it. You can't see it, but yeah, that's who the bootleg Cesaro looking gent next to Roman Reigns is. But okay, so Kevin Patrick is with Dakota Kai and Io Sky. Dakota asks if he actually saw them out there, because they were a well-oiled machine, and anything anyone can do, they can do better. Io speaks some Japanese. I don't, so I'll go to the part that I got, that I understood. She says, "We will make the same result as tonight at Clash at the Castle." So basically, they're going to win. Put some subtitles on these folks. I've said this before. I will say it again. You make anyone who speaks any language other than English unlikable when you do that kind of mess, when you don't subtitle them. So do it. Dakota says we're going to see them with those tag titles around their waist, and they call Kevin Patrick's question stupid. And KP just kind of sinks his head remorseful and says he'll do better. He's been absolutely comedy gold the whole show. But Camp and Redmond talk injuries in the tournament, their impact, kind of what's been going on with Zoe Stark, Nikita Lyons, and now Gigi Dolan. And because of that, now 8 women have this second chance to be women's tag team champions. it's a little frightening to see, to be honest. This train of injuries across all these promotions seems to be going on, and now NXT is just kind of the latest one in that. But after a final commercial, we see the semi/hour 2 main event, which was Bobby Lashley and AJ Styles versus The Miz and Ciampa. So I understand that Dexter Lumis, kind of looking like an SS cosplayer, I understand he was the one that got rid of The Miz. I have no idea who was after AJ Styles. Like, if you all know, like, let me know in the comments, because I don't have the faintest idea who that is. I suppose we'll know soon enough, maybe on next week's Raw. And I get that the 3 hours are more filling now in Raw, but at least to me, it kind of feels like they're not coming up with more stuff. It's just that what they have is like more stretched out. At least that's what I got from all of that. Raw Talk didn't talk much about Bobby Lashley and Miz and Ciampa, Hall of Famer Trish Stratus's defense early on in the night. So Sarah Schreiber is the one talking to the EST about this. Now, Belair calls Trish Stratus a legend, and for Bayley to disrespect her, she says, "Ha!" Cracks me up. She had to come help her girl out. And when asked about Asuka and Alexa's elimination from the women's tag team tournament, she describes the L as a lesson. They're going to take that L, and at Clash at the Castle, while Bayley and crew are trying to regain control, they're looking to lose it. So the whole segment felt a little bit slapdash, to be honest. I love Bianca, but that line was recycled from a few weeks ago and didn't have quite the same punch to it. And when it came to the night in general, Bianca didn't play a huge part in it. So I was like, why is she the one in one of the Raw Talk segments? Like, why wasn't it Alexa and Asuka? Like, I don't know. Or Trish Stratus. You know, Lita's been in a Raw Talk segment. Trish Stratus could have been too. But for Booker's part, he thinks Bianca Belair is doing everything that a champion should do. Kind of making sure that everything is all right with her division. But she's got to stay vigilant because Bayley has a plan for the men. They briefly go over Rollins and Riddle's face-to-face for next week. Booker T had kind of underestimated Riddle. He says we need to keep an eye on this kid now, though, because he's trying to do what Muhammad Ali did in 1964. But that was the end of the episode, but it was fitting, especially this evening. Just slightly above average. KO was the one that did it. Sometimes it feels like they on purpose are putting less effort into the women's segments. And it makes me feel bad because I'm like, oh, man, like they're not as good. But, you know, it's not the fact that they're women. I don't think they're writing for them all that well overall. But let me know what you all thought about Raw Talk in the comments. I really appreciate everybody who was watching, everyone who was part of the stream, Katana, Joe Mama. I love you guys. I'll see you all very soon with the SmackDown Lowdown review. Bye.